can't get any words. Podcasts don't last, giving you the real talk, no holding back. Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the Can't Get Any Worse podcast.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Can't Get Any Worse podcast, and welcome to UFC 313 breakdown. How are we all? We all ready to rip into this intense breakdown of potentially? Hey, I don't want to go out there and say it, but if you're purchasing this UFC pay-per-view, hats off to you. You are definitely not a casual. You're a true, deep UFC fan who just wants to see some real under-the-radar bangers, I think you'd call it. And in saying that, is there any crazy fights on this card? Maybe two. Let's go. There's two can't-miss fights on this card, and I think we all know which two they are. And we will get to it, okay? But before we do break down this entire UFC card from the early prelims to the main event, let's touch on a little bit of Real Housewives of the UFC chat. So the crazy fight, last week I came in on a high on my regular Tuesday episode of a couple of big fights that broke. And I missed one of them because it broke before the whole chaos of everything going on, right? And that was Michael Chandler versus Paddy Pimblett. That is a pretty sick fight, if you ask me. Just Michael Chandler, veteran of the sport. He's done it all. He's done everything he can do except get UFC gold for now. He'll get there. But Paddy Pimblett, young up-and-coming lion, just seems to be biting off veteran after veteran in the last few fights and actually proving himself, which is pretty sick to see. Do I think he's going to beat Michael Chandler? That is a pretty good question. And to be honest, I don't think he will. I think Michael Chandler's style is just a bit too much for old Paddy there. But is he more than likely going to come out and prove me wrong? 100%. We all know that's going to happen. We all know I'm going to fucking pick it, and it's going to be wrong. So stay tuned for that one. I think that might even be, it's either 314 or 315. It's coming up in the next month or so. Let me have a little sippy susu here. Oh, dear. It's we're full panic stations here today, so if I seem a little bit jittery, and off, I've literally just sped home from work, recording this before I got to go to the school pickup. And if you're in southeast Queensland at the moment, you will know that there is an impending cyclone about to crush all of us. So no one really knows what's going on. No one really knows how severe it is or anything like that. But it's come out today that like schools and all that will be off for the next 2 days. So basically our work today was just like, well, let's just play it by ear. Let's see what happens, eh? So I've got a couple of bits and pieces to do around the house to try and storm-proof it, I suppose. But yeah, I'm a little bit tight for time, I guess you'd say, but that's okay. I've come in to deliver you guys all the nitty-gritty details you need to know to get some wins this weekend. But some more big news from the UFC and it's really the TKO umbrella these days. So TKO is the UFC, the WWE, and they're venturing into the world of boxing, which we've touched on before. Nothing's locked in yet, but when they do, oh geez, I think we're going to see some pretty cool fights thrown down. Like the people with all the Saudi money have basically said to Dana, like, how come we get to see all the fights we want to in the UFC, but we don't get to see that in boxing? And Dana's basically gone, well, money, that's what it comes down to. So now all these rich Saudi people have been like, Dana, we want you to run the promotion. You tell us what to do. Here is our credit card. You go and swipe that motherfucker wherever you need to. You go and make us Conor McGregor versus John Jones for the invisible title, and we will pay whatever we need to pay to witness that. So in saying that, exciting news for Australia, I suppose you would say, is Perth has just signed a 5-event deal over the next 2 years, which is pretty crazy to know that there will be 5 UFC slash WWE events in Perth over the next 2 years. That's pretty good frequency, if you ask me. And they're all like main events, I suppose you'd say, like pay-per-view cards. Do I wish they were on the East Coast for my own selfish reasons? 110%, because we know, as I've mentioned, it is a bucket list item for me to go and see a live UFC event. And Perth is just a little too far for me. Again, if you listen to the weekly show, I've dabbled into the world of Perth recently, and I don't know, ups and downs, swings and roundabouts, as they say. But yeah, good news for the Australian MMA scene, I suppose you'd say. It's on the up again, which is cool. We've got a couple of up-and-coming lions coming through the ranks as well. So big things coming for the land of Oz. But let's rip into it. Let's rip into this card, the main event, Donald Trump versus Zelenskyy. Oh, I'm just joking, guys. Everyone just fucking relax, okay? Well, I'm not going to get all political. I know nothing about it. I just saw those two had a little lovers tiff this week, and that's about all I know. I just saw a couple of clips on TikTok of them yelling at each other. So who knows? The cyclone could be the least of my issues right now. World War III could be imminent right now, and I'm just sitting here talking to you guys about some pretty mediocre fights, I suppose you'd say. But let's rip into it. Let's rip into my UFC 313 breakdown. We've done enough fucking jumbling jargon at the start of this. How long have we even been going for? Oh, yeah, that's not too bad. 6 minutes. You can't complain with that, surely. Anyway, early prelims. Let's rip in. Let's get my screen up here. Need to wheel my little lappy laptop over here. Oh, geez. What? Felt like I just unplugged something. Anyway, kicking off, middleweight division. You ready to hear some names fucked up, the most you've ever heard them fucked up in their lifetime? We have Djorden Santos versus Ozzy Diaz. Now, Santos is a Dana White Contender Series graduate. I believe he was in there last year or the year before. But he's on a 5-win streak, which is pretty impressive. So that's what I mean. This entire card is just going to be a lot of up-and-coming people. These are the type of cards that I actually like watching because, yes, they don't have the big names. Like, the UFC's basically changed their business structure over the last year or so, and everything is all about the main and the co-main. And then they just stack the rest of the card with not really huge names. Like, they sprinkle a couple of vets in there to make it so you look at the card and go, oh my God, I know this person. But other than that, it's just all these up-and-coming lions just fighting it out. And then when one of them gets a good knockout, it's like, you are the next one. You're the chosen one. You're fighting Khabib. And then they just get mauled. But anyway, I'm pretty keen for this fight. The other one is an ex-LFA champ, Ozzy Diaz. Now, I don't know. Looking at his history and background and stuff, I wasn't as impressed. So I'm going to be pretty boring on this one. I'm going to go the favourite, Djorden Santos, at $1.50. So all of these odds are as of, what's today? Wednesday. So this will be coming out on Thursday. So if you want these odds that I'm talking about, jump on it quick smart. Don't wait till fight night and go, wait a minute, this dude's now $1.10. James said it was $1.50. What do you want me to do, guys? You want me to come and get your phone and bet for you? Because I will, because I got no fucking money to throw around. So please send me $2 that I can put in my sports bet account. But anyway, on to the next one. Featherweight division, we got Mairon Santos versus Francis Marshall. So Santos actually won the featherweight tournament. What is wrong with my words today? Jesus. Let's slow down. Let's take a breath. Let's have a little bit of a sip, and then let's try that again. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now, Santos won the featherweight tournament of the Ultimate Fighter last year. So his record is actually pretty insane, 14-1, which is pretty sick. Featherweight division, though, hasn't really popped off since the whole Conor series. You know what I mean? Like, do you guys remember how much of a highlight that was in our lives? Like, I don't know if we'll ever be able to repeat that again, where we just had all these killers just fighting it out for that title. But anyway, he's versing Marshall, and he is 2 losses from his last 3. So I don't have to spell it out for you guys. I think you guys know exactly where my tip's going for that one. Another boring one. I'm going the favourite again. 2 favourites out of 2 for the early prelims. I'm going Mairon Santos at $1.28. So I'm sorry. You guys are you're going to see a pretty familiar pattern throughout this whole breakdown. And like I said, it's not the most exciting card. So purely for my internet reputation, because remember, do you guys want to cast your mind back to the first UFC breakdown where I came in here and I basically picked every dog. And then for the next week, I had to basically defend myself from the internet and go, guys, I was just trying to have some fun. Isn't that fun? Like proving why an underdog could win. I still think that's fun. But in the cases of a lot of these fights on this card, I just can't do it. I can't do it to you guys, and I can't do it to myself to come in and go, guys, I reckon a guy who's lost 2 of his last 3 is going to come in and beat the guy that just won the Ultimate Fighter, and his record is 14-1. I can't do that to you guys. Anyway, let's move on to the prelims. We have welterweight division. Where's my fucking mouse gone? Oh, that could have been chaotic. Welterweight division. Here we go. This is what I was saying before. Here's your first little sprinkling of a vet. Alex Morono versus Carlos Leal. So I remember watching Alex back in the day and like going, okay, this dude's pretty decent. And every now and then I'd throw a sneaky 5 on him, and every now and then I'd get a sneaky return in favour. And I thank you for that, Alex. But in this circumstance, I cannot have your back, brother. I'm going Carlos Leal. Alex is 1 from 3 in his last 4 fights. So again, you just can't defend that. You can't defend that kind of performance. But Leal is pretty fresh to the UFC. He got a late call-up last year, I think it was. And this is his first fight off a full fight camp. He's a former LFA champ, and I think that says it all. I think that pretty much proves why we've got to go him. And I sincerely apologise for these odds, but he's paying $1.13. It is not even worth throwing in a multi for the risk. So yeah, I've got to go Carlos Leal. Sorry for the odds. Next we go middleweight division. Brunno Ferreira. Ferreira? I don't know. Ferrero Rocher. Versus Armen Petrosyan. Now, both these guys are pretty much fighting for their UFC careers. They're both on a pretty heavy losing streak. I believe one of them is on a 3-fight losing streak and the other one's on a 2-fight. I should have written down which one's which, but from the little research I did, I'm pretty sure that's where they're at. They are also both graduates of Designer White. That is it's a little dip in the toe of my day job. Sorry about that. They are both graduates of the Dana White Contender Series. So, to be honest, I'm surprised they've both been given as long of a leash as they've got. Like, if you come off the Dana White Contender Series and you lose 1, it's like your head's on the chopping block. For these guys to get 2 and 3 losses, pretty crazy. Anyway, I have gone Armen Petrosyan at $1.67. Now, those are probably the juiciest odds we've got to date. So let's have a little dabble on that guy, ladies and gentlemen. And to be fair, it's a flip of a coin, that fight. So it's worth it. Then we go flyweight. All right, this one I'm kind of excited about, all right? Joshua Van, I like this dude. I've watched a fair few of his previous fights, and for whatever reason, his name has stuck in my head. Don't want to give away who I've chosen, but let's go into why I've chosen that. Joshua Van is on a 5-1 record in the UFC. He is unbeaten in his last 10 fights, which is pretty impressive. And get this, he's only 22 years old. Bang, bang, bang. Tick, 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 tick. He's hitting all the ticks. Now, his opponent, Tsuria, again, I apologise for the butchery of these names. He won the Road to the UFC tournament last year, and he got a win in his last UFC fight, in his UFC debut. So he's going to want to keep those wins coming, but I just cannot pick against my boy Joshua Van. So Again, apologies for the odds. He's only paying $1.51, but I believe he can do it. Here's an idea. Multi those last two up, just for a bit of fun. Multi those up, throw a sneaky 5 on it. Only if you've got it. Bet responsibly. At the start of these breakdowns, I didn't feel the need to say that. As we've progressed, and you guys have been like, thank you for losing me all my money, fuckwit, I now feel the need to say that. I now understand why so many people say that. Anyway, let's move on to, this is another one I'm actually keen about, and a lot of people are disagreeing with me, but fuck you guys. Let me scroll up to it. We have the heavyweight divisions. Curtis Blades, another veteran of the sport, versus up-and-comer Rizvan Kuniev. Now, that name is scary in itself. And then I looked at a picture of this guy. Holy shit. He looks like Islam Makhachev ate Islam Makhachev. He is this giant Russian man. He's terrifying. He looks like a polar bear that you just shaved all the hair off and you're just left with this guy. Actually, I should have gone grizzly bear because he's got brown hair. It would have suited much better. You're a fucking idiot, James. Shut up and get to the breakdown. All right. Now, Curtis Blades is coming back after he's lost to Tom Aspinall for the interim heavyweight title, right? And look, Curtis Blades, I like him, okay? He's okay. But we spoke about this on the last card. The heavyweight division, it just needs a shake-up. It needs someone to come in there and go, all right, let's get this shit started. Because all it is at the moment is just the John Jones show. Who does John Jones want to fight? That's what it's all up to. We need someone to come in, much like when we get to the main event of this card. Alex Pereira, when he came into the UFC, he was snapping necks left, right, and center. He goes, give me this title shot. We need someone to come and do that. And when I looked into this guy, he could be the guy, potentially. Let's get off the little dick ride that I did at the start of this based on his looks and his size and his scariness, okay? He made it through the Dana White Contender Series again last year, much like a lot of this card. And his record is 13 wins, 2 losses. Would we like to see those losses a little smaller? Sure. But this animal's in the heavyweight division. It takes one little slip up for one of these giant motherfuckers to connect with your chin, and it's night's over for you guys. So I don't know. I don't know why this guy's just jumping out of me, and I genuinely do not know why, but this is my biggest underdog pick of the entire card, and that's why everyone thinks I'm stupid for it. But have some faith, guys. I have faith in this guy. You guys need to. So I'm going Rizvan Kuniev at $3.34. Those are some insane odds. It's heavyweight division, ladies and gentlemen. Curtis Blades is on the back end of his career. I don't know what else to say. It is worth the risk in my eyes. Bet responsibly. All right, let's rip into the main card. Is it rude to even call this a main card? Let's be honest, a little bit, but are we going to take it for the co-main and the main event? Yes. Yes, we are. And fuck you, Dana White, for stealing another $70 out of my account just to watch this. Do you know what I'm probably going to do, actually? All week I've been like, I don't really want to spend $70 on this. I might even just go to a local pub or sports venue just to watch the co-main and the main. And I have not done that for probably 8 or 9 years. So that's how much I do not want to pay for this card. Let's rip in, though. It kicks off in the lightweight division. We've got King Green, formerly known as the artist Bobby Green. Why did you change your name, bro? Kind of weird. Kind of weird that you changed it to King as well. We all know that there's one King, and that's King Epiphany. If that doesn't make sense, go listen to some early episodes of the podcast. But yeah, King Green is versing Mauricio Ruffy. Green is, I didn't know this either until I started doing some digging. Bobby Green, I'm just going to call him Bobby Green because I'm going to dead name him. It just makes sense in my head because I've seen his whole career. I think this is his 50th professional career fight, which is insane to have 50 fights under your belt. I think from memory, he's only won like 36 of them or something, but don't get me wrong, that's still fucking impressive. Whereas Ruffy, another Dana White Contender Series graduate, and the reason I like this guy, he stopped our Australian homeboy, Jamie Malarkey, last year. Last year, I think it was. But yeah, he's a bit of an animal, and I just like his odds in this fight. So does Sportsbet by the looks of it, because he's only paying $1.18, but he's my pick on this one. We'll go Mauricio Ruffy. Then we go to the women's strawweight division, the only women's fight on this entire card. I don't know what's going on. Hey, that's another thing the UFC needs bad, is just another breath of life in the women's division. Because for a while there, we were all addicted to it. The whole Ronda, Holly, Amanda, Rose, Valentina, we were frothing for it. We're like, let's give us more women's fight, and now we get one every main event, and then very rarely do we get any other ones. So any chicks out there that are keen to throw down, let's get fucking Beck Rawlings back in the UFC. She knows how to throw down. But yeah, Amanda Lemos versus I don't know how to say her name, so I'm going to go Isman Lucindo. Now this is some Brazilian on Brazilian crime, both Brazilian fighters, but this is what it came down to for me. And call it stupid, call it whatever you want. But Lemos is 37 years old. Now, if you want me to put my money on a 37-year-old woman in a cage fight, she's going to have to do something pretty special for me to believe in her. And don't get me wrong, she's had a far better career than I ever could have had in the UFC. She is the 1% of the world to make it that far in the UFC. But Lucindo, I'm just going to say Lucindo because her last name's easier to say. She's 23 and she's got a pretty impressive record. It's not the greatest, but it's not bad. So I'm going to go Lucindo at $1.68 for this fight. Next fight, we go to lightweight division. Don't get me wrong, guys. We're getting there. We're getting to the co-main and the main. I'm trying to skip over these as quickly as I can without just completely avoiding them. Imagine if this was a 3-minute episode this week where I just came in and I'm like, just going to talk about the fights everyone cares about, guys. It'd be pretty disrespectful. So it is what it is. Lightweight division, we've got Jalen Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Bahamondes? I don't know. Turner has lost 3 of his last 4. And before I even read that, I am not a Jalen Turner fan. Let's get that out there in the atmosphere. He has 8 losses, and he's at the back end of his career. If he doesn't retire this fight, it's got to be the next one. It's almost time to hang up the gloves. Now, what's his first name? Ignacio. I'm just going to say Ignacio. He's the younger fighter. He is also 5-1 in the UFC. 5 wins, 1 loss. For that reason, on top of me hating Jalen Turner, I've got to go him. Decent odds again, $1.78. Not bad. So that's my pick for that one. Now let's get into the co-main. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is half the reason we came here. Now, yes, did we take a bit of a dint the other week because this was supposed to be Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker, which would have possibly been the most insane fight of 2025. Both those two animals, Dan Hooker came out and he's like, I have no plans for the day after this fight. He's like, all I know is that cage door is going to close. I'm going to wake up in an ambulance and whatever happens after that happens. Are you fucking joking me, you New Zealand beast? You need to calm down, brother. You need to calm down. This is just a sport. We're all just having fun here. Some people want to get their kids involved in this and they're seeing you on YouTube saying that shit. Brother, let's slow it down. Dan Hooker injured his wrist, I believe it was, or something in his arm region. Don't come at me. So he pulled out of this fight about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Now, apparently, a lot of the heavy hitters were offered this fight, and they all said no, which just comes down to show how much of an animal Justin Gaethje is, which we all knew anyway. He is one of the go-to people for the UFC if you want a bloodbath. He is tried and tested time and time again. Now, the only person who answered the call was Rafael Fiziev. I think that's it. Fiziev? Fiziev. I think that's it. Now, these two have fought in the past, and it went to a decision. It went in Justin Gaethje's favour. Now, I think, and again, a lot of people are disagreeing with me. I think Justin Gaethje still gets the win. He is not the favourite in this fight. So if you have been looking for an underdog from me this entire breakdown, this is your underdog. Justin Gaethje at $2.20. That's a straight win. That's not even anything crazy, which we're going to get to my guaranteed tips. But Justin Gaethje at $2.20, you've got to fucking entertain it. He was preparing for Dan Hooker, which he knew was going to be a bloodbath. Fiziev's coming in on 2 weeks' notice or something. Yes, he's an animal that trains year round. Yes, he has the ability to get it done. But I just think like that willpower that Gaethje's going to have and the battle that he thought he was going to have, it all has to come into play at some point. So lock in Gaethje at $2.20. It's going to be a fucking sick fight. Again, I do not want to miss that. So if you're in the Southeast Queensland region and you're paying for the fights this Sunday and the cyclone hasn't ripped your roof off, shoot me a sneaky DM. Let's hang out for an hour or so. Now, the main event, light heavyweight division, and it feels like I say this every second pay-per-view, and it's because we do. This dude is a fucking animal. Alex Pereira is back in the cage again. You cannot get this guy out of here. Just put him on every pay-per-view, Dana. Just funnel through the entire UFC roster. This would actually be, as I said that, this would actually be an insane concept. Put Alex Pereira in the cage and just do round after round, a fresh fighter every round, and just see how long he can last. I would actually be intrigued. Maybe even no, that would be unfair. I was like, start at the bottom of the rankings and then work your way up. But then once you've got the top ranked people and Alex is tied, that's fucking stupid. But it would be a sick concept to see. Maybe I'll shoot Alex a DM and just say, brother, want to come to Australia and try this live for the Can't Get Any Worse podcast. But Alex Pereira taking on Magomed Ankalaev. Now, when I first saw this fight announced, I was very nervous and scared for Alex Pereira. Now, he's used to just going in there and fighting fellow strikers. Alex Pereira is a striker. He's a multi-time kickboxing champion, multi-time UFC champion. They've all come from knockouts, couple of decisions in there, but the dude's a beast. Now, he's never really fought an intense grappler. And when I saw the Russian name, Ankalaev, again, I've seen Ankalaev fight so many times. And I don't know why I didn't think of this before, but when I saw the name, I'm like, shit, Alex is about to get submitted. He's about to get tapped down by this Dagestani beast. So I've been panicking. And then this week, when I started to do some research, I started looking into Ankalaev's history, and I'm like, wait a minute. He's pretty well a kickboxer as well. Does he have a black belt in Sambo? Yes, he does. Has he ever really used it in the UFC in a great extent? Not really. Does he have any submission victories? No. 0 submission victories. They have all been decisions or knockouts. So you have to class him as a kickboxer as well. So when you stand back and look at this fight, if it's a kickboxing on kickboxing fight, Alex Pereira's got this all day of the week. And to be honest, you can't doubt Alex Pereira anymore. He has proven it. If he does not go down as the greatest of all time, something is wrong. The come up this guy's had and the names this guy's beaten and then become a 2-division title holder in the space of, I actually wrote this down, actually. This is a good statistic that I saw. This is Alex Pereira's 4th consecutive successful title defense. Insane. He's 37 years old. He's 9-1, and he's 5-0 in the light heavyweight division, right? This is all within the space of 3 years or something. I think he's been in the UFC. Could even be shorter than that. Now, I looked at the record, and Ankalaev is 20-1, which that's pretty fucking scary. That's impressive. All I know is this is actually going to be a sick fight, and will I cry if Pereira loses? Probably. Pereira has to win this for not only himself, but the sake of the UFC. Ankalaev could possibly be potentially one of the most boring title holders I can see possible. Plus, if Pereira wins this, he has every right to continue calling out Jon Jones for that super fight. Like, where does he go after this? He's cleared out the light heavyweight division already. His only option is to go up and become a three-division UFC champion and just win that heavyweight title off Jon Jones. So that's my pick. We're going to go Alex Pereira. I think it was obvious. He's paying $1.82 outright. Now, this is where we're going to get a little bit scary, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get a bit risky this time. My UFC 313 guaranteed picks, they're not even guaranteed. So we should have taken the word guaranteed out of there because these are some scary picks that I just want to come to fruition. So I'm like, fuck it. Let's make it happen. Normally, my guaranteed picks are relatively safe. This time, we're going out there. We're going balls to the walls, ladies and gentlemen. We are going Justin Gaethje by KO at $4.60. And then we are going on top of that, Alex Pereira by KO at $2.55. Those are my two picks. Those are what I will be dabbling my small fortune that I have, whatever coins I can find in my ashtray. Hopefully you guys get on board as well. But that has pretty well been my UFC breakdown of 313. I hope you guys, if you're in the Southeast Queensland region, stay safe during this storm period. Check on your neighbours, all that sort of shit. Gamble responsibly if you're watching the fights this week. I have no gigs this week. Playing it pretty quiet for reasons that I told on this week's podcast, as well as the cyclone situation. If you want something to come to and see me, Distillery Road, March 30th, I will be there again for our West Park Productions show. Other than that, tune into our weekly show. If you guys just listen to these breakdowns and don't mind my rambling, tune into Tuesday shows, listen to me dribble shit about my awkward situations and just fucking my dick every week. But yeah, I appreciate you guys listening. Send any submissions. I've completely forgotten the sign off. Send submissions and all that via DM on Instagram if you've got something to say to me, or via email at can'tgetanywOrsePod@gmail.com. Appreciate you guys listening. Share this around and I will see you later.
Can't get any worse, we'll make you see. There's always a silver lining. We'll set you free, so join the movement. Let's change the game with the